Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Shelly and I am an inclusion specialist and the principal consultant at Taboshi Inclusive. We are a general inclusion consultancy based in Botswana, the most peaceful country in the whole wide world. Yes, today we are going to discuss access arrangements. Hello and welcome for this beautiful video. It's such a beautiful morning and I'm so glad to be connected to you once again. Thank you folks for stopping by in our channel. This channel is Inclusive with Shelly, and in this channel I share tips on inclusion, general inclusion in education, inclusion in all areas. It might be in health related matters or in the health sector, inclusion in the transport sector, inclusion in the religion or the church sector, inclusion in all sectors. I give tips in inclusive business, how you can do business in an inclusive way. So this is the platform where you are right now. And before we continue, I just want to invite you to subscribe to this beautiful channel. My name is Shelly and I am an inclusion specialist, the principal consultant at Taboshi Inclusive. Taboshi Inclusive is a general inclusion consulting firm. We are in Gaborone, Botswana, the most beautiful and peaceful country, the whole world. Hello and welcome, and thank you very much for stopping by. Today we are going to discuss access arrangement. How much is enough in terms of our access arrangement for students or for learners with or for candidates with special needs? How much is enough in terms of access arrangements for candidates with special needs? And I have shared some insight into what is access arrangement for students or for learners or for candidates with special needs. But for the purpose of this video, I just want to go into unpacking what is access arrangements, what we mean by access arrangements. These are special arrangements that are often made for students or for candidates. Yes, let me use that word candidates because we use it, and these are the people who are writing examinations, high-stake examinations or national examinations, or even tests and some some arrangement in the school. So access arrangements are these arrangements that we make for special arrangements that we make for learners or for candidates with special needs. These candidates or these arrangements are meant to help this particular candidate or this particular learner be able to express himself or herself optimally. You know that someone who has disabilities or who has special needs is limited in a way, in the sense that he might be having some limitations due to his or her disability. So these access arrangements are a way of trying to bring a balance, or a way of trying to bring equality in terms of the candidates or in terms of the learners, so that this learner can also be able to thrive as much as others. So in access arrangements, we kind of remove the barriers, looking at this particular learners or this particular candidate's disability or situation. We kind of remove whatever barriers that he or she might be experiencing, so that he or she can be able to express himself or herself optimally, and perhaps be able to get the results that he would still get if he didn't have, or if he is equated to other students. So these access arrangements would depend on the severity of the disability or the special needs. For severe, those ones who are severely affected, there will be more access arrangement. For instance, for someone with multiple disabilities, you know that it means this person might not be able to hear, this person might not be able to see, this person might not be able to express himself or herself verbally, or even in terms of writing, he or she might not be able to express himself or herself optimally in terms of those areas. So you look at the situation or the special need of this particular candidate or this particular learner, and the arrangements are meant to help him or her to express himself or herself optimally, so that he can be able to get the best results. Yeah, I'm moving so fast. I know, I'm moving so fast, but it's because of time. But anyway, this is it. So often at times, like I said, how do we reach these access arrangements? Often at times, this normally learners with disabilities or with special needs and or candidates with special needs are supposed to go to specialists, to consult some specialist who can be able to write him or her some report after diagnosis or after assessment, to check how much or this person is limited and what can be done in order to help this person be able to express himself or herself optimally. So those people could be like educational psychologists. They can be able to produce such reports. Special educationists are able to produce such reports. Doctors or medical practitioners that like occupational therapists are able to produce such report. So when that report comes into the school or into the assessing body, they will then make arrangements according to that report. For instance, if you are slow in terms of writing, you might be recommended for extra time. Or if you are going through a traumatic experience, you might be recommended to have an extra time and some breaks in between, so that you are able to write your exam more congestively. So it depends for students maybe who have got some side problem. They might be recommended extra time. They might also be recommended to be having enlarged print and or font. They might be recommended so many things. Sometimes the students are recommended to write on a separate room where they don't mix with other students, depending on the situations, of course. And all these arrangements are done in as far as examinations are concerned, in as far as school tests and assessment are concerned. So basically, you will always meet these arrangements. They can also be made for going to class on everyday basis, actually. So these are the kind of access arrangements that I am talking about. So it means that students would have different access arrangement. If let's say, for instance, looking at an examination, you could be having students who have to be having some writers and readers. Some students might be having extra time. Some students might be using recorders, and all different access arrangement. In another video, I did indicate that I would share what are the access arrangement, but I cannot cover them because as much as all of them, because they depend actually on the situation. And the assessors, they would look at how this person is limited. They conduct some tests, and from those tests they can make conclusion to say this person is limited in as much as is limited to this extent, and therefore this kind of arrangements should be made so that this person can be able to express himself or herself optimally. So these are access arrangements. And now, like I said, the purpose of this video to look at access arrangement. And there's been some debate in as far as how much is enough in terms of access arrangement, because you might find that one child is receiving 5 access arrangement, and even after that, where it came from. I remember at some point people were talking about, in terms of marking the scripts, that if somebody has had extra time in terms of writing an exam, they had increased time so that they could complete the exam like other candidates. Should we now be marking like in a special way for this kind of child? For instance, a child who's deaf or who is hard of hearing, if they have received the kind of access arrangement like extra time, if they have received some other other access arrangement that they could have? Is it necessary now for them to be marked in a special way, or by special teachers, or by teachers who have studied deaf education and probably hard of hearing, who are specialists in that area, so that they can mark for that person in a special way? Isn't it that this child now needs to be, or this candidate now has to be marked the same as other candidates? These are the arguments that people have raised, and this is why I am making this video, to indicate how much is enough in terms of access arrangement, to answer the question, how much is enough in terms of access arrangement. I've also been asked this question by peers, by acquaintances, or people that could have access to me, to say how much is enough in terms of access arrangement, and hence I want to answer this question once and for all. No access arrangement is able to replace another. That is my answer. No access arrangement is meant to replace another. Each and every access arrangement has a purpose that it serves. For instance, what I'm trying to say here is that you cannot say that somebody, because they have an extra time, they cannot be given a separate room, or they cannot be provided with a reader and writer. Because each and every access arrangement has a purpose that it serves. If a child has written a script or has written an exam whereby there was an extra time, that does not mean that in terms of marking, that person should not be covered. Because you might find that the child who still needs extra time cannot fully write full sentences. Like, for instance, in the case of deaf and hard of hearing candidates, you might find that hard of hearing candidates and deaf candidates already, they're limited in terms of their language. They might not know as many words as an ordinary person can know. So basically, when the script of that particular candidate comes, you might find it that some words are omitted. Those who have studied hard and hearing, deaf and hard of hearing, they know that this candidate cannot be able to write, or how he writes. They understand how the pattern, how these people write. They understand how limited these people are in terms of words, in terms of language. And therefore, they will be able to mark knowing what to look out for. Unlike if it is just an ordinary teacher who's marking that script and marking it in a regular way, that child still needs markers or examiners who understand that condition, and that candidate still needs to be marked in a special way. Access arrangement has to be provided even in as far as marking is concerned. In as much as access arrangement is even provided, even to an extent of placement, even to an extent of transitioning. So you can see that providing extra time is not enough. It's not the end. Providing a reader and a writer cannot replace any other thing. So the amount of access arrangement that has to be provided for each and every candidate depends on the severity of the candidate, and there is no one size fits all. Every case is unique, and every case should be treated as such. So I want to say this again. There is not enough. 1 is not enough, 2 is not enough, 3 is not enough, 4 is not enough, 5 is not enough of access arrangement. The amount of access arrangement that each and every candidate has to be provided with depends on his or her kind of situation. And as much as possible has to be provided so that this particular person has equal opportunities, so that this particular person has access to each and everything that needs to be taken care of. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope I have answered your questions. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do share our content and don't stay too far.